You ready, Chris?
You ready, Ben?
Let's get it.
Man, let's get it, man. Welcome to the Follow Then Lead podcast. What's up, good peoples? We coming to you guys one more time. Chris and Ben, we got a special guest in here on tonight. Our sister, our homie, our friend, Christina Dosouto.
What's going on?
What's
going
up,
on,
How
guys?
you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good stuff. How was your day?
Well. My day was great. You know, I work at the jail, so my day can be crazy to some people, but I love it. That's like hitting the floor running, you know?
Man, yo,
Yeah.
What
what's
do you
it
do
like
at the jail?
Yeah.
So I'm a counselor.
Okay.
So I counsel both the men and women who deal with domestic violence, so survivors of domestic violence, yeah.
Wow. That's impactful.
It's very impactful,
Yeah.
very intimidating for some who don't know how to cultivate that population. It's like, just get out of the relationship. And it's not quite that easy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not.
You got to give them that fresh, that fresh fire.
Yeah, not only that, but they have to understand the mental health aspect of it when there's a lot of manipulation that comes into it. So when you're manipulating someone for a period of time, they start to believe whatever it is that you're telling them.
That's true.
Right? So it's hard for anyone who's in that relationship or dynamic to get out, right? They have to do a lot of understanding and comprehension about that.
That's dope, and it's good that they have you in their lives to give them that proper guidance, man, because so many people go lacking in that. They just go with the flow. Like you said, the manipulation.
Yeah.
They just take that, they run with it, and they just stay there in that
Stay
flow.
there, yeah.
It's
like
all about power, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's a power and control dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's like for people not to understand, like to work in that field and not have empathy for people. I guess that's the
Right.
word. Like it's tough to for someone to say, "Oh, just get out of it." Like man,
Right.
you're not connected to
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's compassion and empathetic. Having those traits to kind of see through the simple mindedness of get out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just want to be in that drama. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, not quite. Right? There's a constant cycle of abuse. It'll be maybe a period of a month or so that they're good to you. Honeymoon phase, right? They're buying you flowers and gifts and cookies and chocolate, right? And then the next couple of days is a huge argument because of what you had on or how your makeup was, or vice versa, right? Because it's not a gender concept, it's genderless. There are narcissistic women, toxic femininity, right? Toxic masculinity drives people to have narcissistic characteristics and behaviors. So this is what leads people to have that dynamic of power and control. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
In that field, the field that you're working in, what gives you that a fulfillment of it? Like you go in, like what's the fulfillment? Like what are you getting from it?
You know, I'm a true believer of the trauma you faced and have healed through, you should be that leader, right? Unfortunately, I dealt with domestic violence all my life. My parents are African, they're very strict, but I never looked at it as abuse until college, right?
Yeah.
Learning psychology and like, oh shoot, I'm in an abusive situation and no one told me, because it's a cultural thing, right?
And
There's that
normal.
cultural binding, right? That is like, you have to do what your parents tell you to do. You have to oblige. You have to make sure that everything is in order. But it wasn't quite like that. It was, you know, stay inside. It was very strict. But if I didn't take a spoon or a cup out the sink, I was getting slapped, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like, how did I go to that so quickly? So I was in it completely, you know, and my brothers, you know, I'm one of 10. I have 7 brothers, and they were in that street life hard. So violence was always the factor. So for me, it was, how can I cultivate my own experience to kind of help other people heal through their own, right? And domestic violence counseling was the first thing that I thought of. And we'll be starting my master's program to get my therapy license. So it's
Nice.
all going in the right direction.
Congratulations.
I love it,
Yeah.
Early.
Thank you. Yeah,
Congratulations.
for sure.
Yeah, so when my boy came up with this podcast, this platform, it was a way to spread the word, you know, bring alertness, awareness, you know, and show love to the community. And what came to mind was you. I'm like, she'd be good to bring on this show, man. So yeah, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad.
It
I
makes
appreciate
sense
it.
too, because just hearing you talk about like the things that you've gone through and being, I guess, grounded or strong enough to like accept it, work through it,
Yeah.
and then now help other people.
Yeah.
That's like kind of like how this is stemming from,
Yeah.
you know, the life that we've lived
Mm-hmm.
and struggled with, like, and working through it. That's the hardest thing, is to face it,
Yeah.
right? Look
Yeah.
yourself in the mirror like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is either what I struggle with, this is what I've struggled with before, you
Yeah.
know, this is what I've gone
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And like facing it, accepting it.
Yeah.
And then how do you change from that? And then how now you impact other
Yeah.
people?
Man, I can't even put into words how I am looking at you two right now. I can't even fathom the woman I am right now, because I've been through it all, right? Almost being shot at, all these things. Unfortunately, being raised in the community, urban community, we're going to be dealt with some of those hands. But some of us get stuck in that lifestyle, right? Who don't see worldly, like their worth, right? So they're like, well, I've been in it, so I'm going to stick in it. Or that's how my family was raised, or I'm going to be in it. Sometimes just because your family's culture
Yeah.
is like the it thing that you represent, we don't need to take all the bad parts of it. We don't need to take the toxic parts of it, because I sure ain't taking the toxic parts of it, right? If I ever have a child, they will not be raised the way my parents raised me, unfortunately, right? But I'm going to take the pieces that were loving, that were homing, that were grounding, and that's the culture dynamic of the music, right? Some of the traditions, but not the abuse, right? And that's what I want people to understand, that you don't have to take all the ends of it, right? Just take out the positive traits and you'll be better. But for me, the biggest thing that helped me was therapy.
Good stuff. And what's that?
Yeah.
Therapy is love?
Therapy is love.
Yeah, it is.
So
Definitely.
a lot of people don't know that, and I think it's such a taboo in our community that we don't talk about, and we don't need therapy, or I don't want that, right?
Facts.
And I think you liked one of my posts and said, please, Black men, please, whether it's not formal or informal,
That's it.
please
Yeah.
seek therapy,
Yeah.
right? You don't understand what you're dealing with at a magnitude. There's so many dynamics and systems against you all, and that's why I wanted to be in this field, because I have 7 brothers, right? Lost 2 to the streets, and understand how and why they are the way they are, right? But if they would just understand that and seek their own therapy for their own trauma, they would be so much better, right? Or cultivate that potential that they have to be a great man, right? They're good. They could be great.
I like
There's
that.
a difference,
Yeah.
right? I'm not saying my brothers aren't good. There's good parts to them. But the greatness
Yeah.
comes with integrity, comes with all of that, owning your truth and being okay with however that looks, and then saying, I'm going to be better than that, right?
I ask a
love it.
question.
Yeah.
How does someone build integrity, or just establish it in themselves?
So I always have to tell people, in order to seek what it is that you're looking for, you have to seek within yourself. Sometimes there are things that we don't like about ourselves, but you can mold it to be better. I'm not saying that you should change your flaws. Your flaws is what make you great. But you can cultivate those flaws and say, because I have this flaw, how can I make something else better that can go against this flaw? So if a man knows communication is the biggest struggle piece for them, then they have to practice those skills. If they know the dynamic of having a single parent motherhood in the home has made them view women differently, they need to cultivate why that is. Maybe that's a conversation they need to have with their mom. Maybe that's a conversation they need to have with their therapist, or maybe a conversation they need to have with someone who is grounding enough to understand the dynamics of that, right? But it can't be, I'm talking to my boys and, they're stirring the pot, right?
Yeah.
They're regenerating
real.
exactly
Yep.
the same energy that you have. And that's not quite the therapy we're talking about. We want someone to listen and strip away the ideologies to say, this is why you're feeling this way. Maybe you should do X, Y, and Z to change that dynamic. So I think in order for you to cultivate integrity is to see what parts of you that makes you toxic. And you know what makes you toxic.
Yeah, you
Everyone
do.
does.
Yeah.
Whether that's drinking too much, whether that's partying, whatever it is that makes your energy become less than. And I say energy because we are all on a high frequency. There's a lot of people on low vibrations right now. Don't even know it. Whether it's what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're listening to, what you're wearing. Like, it's so much that I can't even discuss right now because it's not enough time for that. That's a whole nother podcast. But I think that's how you cultivate integrity, is to go within yourself and see what toxicities that you can kind of say, hey, I need to strip this down and really balance myself, right? Because integrity, I have it down, is having the means, to live according to the deepest value that you have. And I say values because something about values will tell you to be grounded, right? And there are things from culture that can be toxic values, right? But you know what toxicity is, right? And you know how to make it better. So with looking within yourself will definitely have you check yourself.
Man,
appreciate it.
Yo, look her. She's giving y'all free game.
Y'all better free game too.
Ladies, look, same here. Yo, she's dropping free game. Y'all take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You said you was raised around a lot of brothers.
Yeah.
And then you had your father, all that dope
So
stuff.
my energy is very masculine.
Yeah.
And I needed to cultivate that to show my femininity.
Yeah.
So when you sense that energy, it's because I am both, right? But I don't lean towards that masculine energy, right? I am a feminine person in my own right.
Yeah.
I want to be and exude that. So yes, I can go with you at any level, but I like to come back to my femininity.
I like it, man. I like it.
Okay.
So who's 3 individuals that's been the most influential?
That was so hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so hard for me to even think of. But the one person that stuck out the most, believe it or not, was my professor, undergrad. She was a Black Panther. And it's the reason why my head is the way it is.
That's all right, yo.
But she, for 3 years, I just sat under her and said, wow, you're an amazing person. And she said, you are too. And I'll never forget that. That's because powerful. I didn't think, a Black Panther would tell me, you're this amazing person, you need to stick into academia. We need you, right? And then I'm like, what is she talking about? Academia, I'm about to be a lawyer. What is she talking about? That was my thing. I didn't think me seeing myself as an educator. I didn't see myself as that. I saw myself as a lawyer because I wanted to help my brothers so badly, right? That was a concept that I was in. And losing 2, I was just like, how can I figure this out, right? And be able to help my own brothers if they ever get into a situation that I have to come and help. So that was my first notion of why I wanted to be a lawyer, right? But after college and learning myself, it was like, no, this is who I am. I'm a warrior at its finest. This is who I am. And not only that, but I'm a warrior for my people, right? I've seen and gone through so much to say, there's a reason why I wasn't born in the 60s, right? Or a reason why I wasn't in that era, because I'm needed here, right? There's so many people that are sleeping, that are not mindful to a lot of things, that it bothers me, but it's more so the job still has to get done. We still have to come out here and give our essence so people can cultivate that.
Absolutely.
And say, why is she like that? Yeah. Why is he like that? How can I be that? Or how can I emblem that? So I think for me, the one person that showed me that was my professor. The second, and I wanted to group them because they're the same as my parents. They, unfortunately enough, I took a lot of great concepts from them and traits and values. But unfortunately, I took a lot of the abuse part, which made me say, you have taught me how to be a better person because of that. I shouldn't want to deliver this much pain to a person that I brought into this world, right? So for me, it was, you've taught me how to be a better parent if I choose to be, right? Not doing what you're doing. And you also showed me that even though with trauma, because they dealt with their own traumas in Africa, and I know that for a fact, that's why they're the way they are. But I also told myself, if I'm ever going through something that hard and that mental, I need to catch myself so I'm not pushing it off onto my husband, onto my children, so on and so forth. Because that's how generational curse happens. That's how you bring all of that toxicity to the next phase, into the next phase, into the next phase. You ever hear the saying when it says, your family, it's in your blood. Diabetes is in your blood.
Yeah.
No, Diabetes is in the generational food your mom's been cooking, your grandma's been cooking, and your great-grandma's been cooking.
The neck bones and
the
whatnot.
neck bone chitlins,
Yo,
all of that.
I'm feeling
all
guilty
of
right
that.
now.
The
sweet
Kool-Aid
tea.
with the
got sugar in
whole,
the
you
mac
see
and
what I'm
cheese,
saying?
you got sugar in the
Everything.
spaghetti.
Get it? Yo, bro.
So, and you know me, I'm also a health guru, so I'm big on that. So for me, it was like, how do I tell people, if I took 100 pounds off my body, you can do the same. So when I tell people, they're like, whoa, you took 100 pounds off. I'm like, yeah. You know, it's easy, simple. But I have to understand that my energy is like that. So I can say it's easy,
you're a
it's
fighter,
simple,
though.
right? Because I'm a warrior.
It's a survivor too, bro.
I'm a survivor,
Yeah,
so
you're
it's
right.
like whatever
It's
I
in
put
you.
into my head is going down, right? And sometimes I scare myself, and I'm like, whoa, girl, you are too extreme. Reel it in, right? Because it's like whatever I put my mind onto, I'm going to do it. And that's a fact, right? So I also have to understand that not everyone's like that. So when I say get up and do it, it's easy. They're like, no, it's not. Like, there's a struggle for me, right? And I had to understand that. So sometimes I say, I'm going to meet you where you are, wherever it is. If you're crawling, I'm crawling with you. Simple. And that's why I feel like I don't train half of Boston and only train some of Boston, right? I'm very private with my own clientele. I'm not boastful, but a lot of people say, you're modest. Yeah. But I know my energy, so I don't like to give it out.
That's dope. I had the privilege of being one of those of being one of those clients, man. And it was dope. You know, fresh from Dallas. You know, your, like I said, your energy, you know, you're like, who's this guy? This accent, you know, he's fresh from Dallas.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, you're from down south?
Yeah, you know,
it was
he
just
said
like
to me, he heard one of the first recordings. He was like, bro, why didn't you tell me I sound so country? I'm like, you don't know that?
I can't hear myself.
You're country?
So when I heard the audio, I'm like, dang, that's how I sound, bro. Yeah, yo. So she heard the accent, you know, we got to talking, and she later tells me, you know, she befriends me because, you know, I'm an outsider, fresh, you know, coming to Boston.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, you probably don't know nobody,
right.
this and that. You know, she takes me under her wing. I'm like, yo, that's
and you
love
got good
right
energy anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's love right there.
Yeah, and that's also what I felt. I also have to remind myself that I read energy first. So if I'm not talking to you at first, it's just because I'm reading, and when I'm done reading, then you'll hear that piece. So I was reading Chris. I knew he was fairly new, and you know, at the Y, whoever's new, you're gonna know if they're a new member off rip. So I just approached and said, hey, like, hope you have a great workout. If you need anything, I'm the Healthy Living Director. Let me know what you need. And it just went from there. But it was the energy I felt that he was open enough, and that's what I cultivated. And when we started talking, it was just like, whoa, is everybody like this in Boston? I'm like, no, not all, but, you know, I'm just the rare of them, right? Just a rare breed. But it's also that compassionate and empathy that you said. Like, we all know how it feels to be that one person, right? And as a Healthy Living Director, I was the one Black person as a leader, right? In all 13 branches of the Y. So I was the one Black leader, right, in that position. So it was very, not intimidating, but when I walked in, you know, the white folks look at you like, who is this? And I sit right there and I own it. But it's more so, dang, there's 10 of y'all and one of me. So it was always that awkwardness of having that feeling that I didn't want Chris to have. So I was just like, hey, let me know if you need anything. I'm that person.
To this day, I still appreciate that.
So yeah. So it's a feeling you don't want to have. So I like to make people feel comfortable.
I love it. And you spoke about, fitness trainer, healthy living, nutrition, all that good stuff. How could you tie that into how our people, our community can better benefit from that? Black men, so on and so on, the youth, you know. How can you drop some nuggets on the people?
I think, you know, the first piece is just looking at, one, where we're a melting pot, right? Boston's a melting pot of different cultures, right? So we have Jamaican restaurants up the road, we have Dominican restaurants, we have Cape Verdean restaurants, we have Asian restaurants. So it's more so of that feel of just being in different cultures in different areas, right? But I also have to remind people that those food are literally composed of fillers of sodium, sugar, it's hidden fat, it's
carbs,
all of these things that are aiding to our internal organs, right? And I always have to tell people there's two types of fat. people. Internal fat and external fat. Those that you can see as external. Those that you can't see as internal, right? The fat is blocking the organs. Those who who are real skinny, can't even walk up a flight of stairs. Check that person, right? These are all things, all factors, all side effects, right? They don't have muscle, right? They've been depleting, right? So we have to understand that too. And I always have to tell people, like, just because, you know, you're skinny doesn't mean you're unhealthy. Doesn't mean you're healthy, right? Just because you're a vegan doesn't mean you're healthy, right? Because I'm vegan, and some vegans will over consume carbs, right? So again, it's all about what you know and what your body type can consume and can handle, right? So I think, one, we have to look at the community itself. What types of food are drawn into our community? It's all, this system is fucked. Right? But it's all made for that way. But just because it's made that way doesn't mean that we can't do better, right? Yes, it's going to be hard, but if I just tell people, it's small switches. If you know you don't eat veggies, try to consume veggies. You know you don't eat fruit, try to consume fruit. You ever remember that old school food program they used to give us in school?
Yeah.
That concept no one has anymore.
Yeah,
that's true.
No one.
That's true.
No one.
It's flipped.
It's flipped. You ever said it's flipped? Pizza up top, and it's like, girl, how did you become up top? Like, how did you become the rain?
Education stopped.
There you go.
That's true, bro.
It's that piece, right? That's what I'm telling you. So when there's no awareness, people are gonna flock to whatever. Right? Just like social media.
And you got the marketing, the ads are crazy.
Right. People are going to flock to whatever they think is it, rather than, hold up, take a second. Is this even right for your spirit right now? Just because she or he is doing it doesn't mean you need to do it. Doesn't mean you need to take that and run with it. We're all different blood types too. So if you really want to look internally on that, check your blood type, and you can eat according to your blood type. And sometimes that will show you what foods to stay away from, right? If you know that eczema, whatever you're prone to, check your food. We're not born this way. We are born alkaline 7.5, right? As a human being, as a child, we are at a purest state. Unless your mom was doing something during that pregnancy that she shouldn't be doing, like drugs and alcohol, whatever the case may be, right? But a fetus is born at its natural alkaline state.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I got into, like, not a battle, but I was questioned whether, you know, if I got married and she couldn't have a baby, would I be okay with, what is it called? Where another woman will carry the child. I was like, no. Right? Initially.
Why?
Well, why not? But to me, it's like, well, now we have to control everything around her. So she needs to now live with us. We need to control what she eats. We need to control her feelings, because all of that now is going to go right into the child.
And people don't understand that. All of that cultivate what that child's going to be, right? So they say, oh, psychopaths, or they're born that way. No. We are born 7.5 alkaline. Unless there's some pre-undisclosed notion of what the mom was doing or what the father was doing, because these are both you guys making this energy. So we have to look at that too. But we also have to understand, when the child's born, 0 through 5 years of age is development. If there's no nurturing there, that child's gonna be always in that flight or fear mode, right? All the time, to the point that they're not understanding what compassion, empathy is so early. No one's been holding them to aid to their cry. So their brain starts to be wired differently, right? So when they make it to adulthood, you're like, he ain't got no feelings.
Yeah.
Of course he doesn't have any feelings.
He wasn't given it.
He wasn't given any to begin with.
Nurturing one thing.
Right? It was never there, right? And by the time he or she was 5 years old, they still wasn't giving it to that child, right? So a lot of that has to come back to the foundation. And we're not even aware that our foundation is so messed up that these kids don't even have a chance because of the foundation, right? And then we have you and I and he just playing catch up, just to help people see the trajectory of where your life can be if you don't cultivate this right now, right? And that's the frustrating piece of the end of my work. Like, you see the potential in all of these people, but they don't quite see the worth.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I heard, potential.
Yeah.
Like you said, the brother can be good. I mean, you're good.
They're
but
good.
You can be
great though.
And all I heard was the potential. Like, gotta tap into that potential, bro.
It's like what you were saying about, like, the foods and all of that. being drawn to what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like essentially it goes back to, in my mind, is your emotions.
Yeah.
Right? Because now, why am I driven to eat this like them? What is it in me now? What am I feeling that I want to be like that? Or what am I lacking in myself?
Yeah.
Right.
And even the child that didn't really have emotion, he has them. He just don't know
Doesn't
how
know
to
how
express
to
them or
cultivate that.
what that feeling means,
Right.
or so it usually just turns to that anger. The only one that they know is just
Facts.
rejection. Oh, I know
Right.
this, so it'll
Right.
go to that.
Isolation, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to just see it, I don't want to talk, but
No,
Talk,
I mean,
bro.
this is
It's
why I
like,
say your
bro,
energy is
yeah.
needed, right?
Yeah.
it's like the, from my life, you look through. I love this like analogy. It's we wear pain. So we're born as a child.
Yep.
We could see the world clearly.
Yes.
We get pain. We're putting on a shade of glasses.
Yes.
We're now seeing. It's
Yeah,
a little.
it's
It's a little
distorted.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go through something else. It's another shade.
Yeah,
Another
Right.
shade. Another shade. Now we're a full-grown adult, and someone says, "Man, you see how beautiful the sun is? You see this wonderful
Yeah.
picture of the landscape? Like, nigga,
You
it
don't see
is
none of
black
it.
and white.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's not. It's not beautiful out here. All I
Right.
see is the pain, everything that I've
Right.
ever gone through.
Which leads me to say this, right? So imagine all of those blends, right? All of those blinds. And now four or five different of your boys have those blinds on. And you can't even show them their worth because those blinds are so deeply attached to their head that they can't even see their own self-worth, right? So sometimes that pain, that trauma is so ingrained in their internal that they can't even see it, right? So when I say we need to understand that sometimes we need to step back from ourselves and take ego and pride away and say, yo, I'm not good. How can I seek help? Because I'm not, right? And we all know when we're not good. And I say that when I lost my younger brother 5 years ago, I was still at the Y. I was still the healthy living director, but that completely took me out for the last 6 months. I wasn't in my right head space. I was canceling class all the time, and you know me, I like to dance, so I'm teaching my dance classes regularly, and I was canceling it regularly. Dancing is my happy place. I was not happy. I was angry. I was upset. I was sad. This was the second brother that I was like, what is going on here, right? Why is the streets continuing to take my brothers, right? So that changed the whole trajectory of why I am the way I am right now at this moment, right? And why it's important for me to cultivate that strength so I can give it to the next person. It's to the point where I talk now and people are like, yo, but he's not here. And I'm like, he's not here, but he's with me though.
Yeah. Talk to him.
I can't really tell you how some attachments can lead you to insanity, right? So for me, it's more so accept him for what he gave me and allowed to give me, because he gave me the last 3 months. He shared it with me, no one else. That was a blessing for me. I took that for what it was and I ran with it. Can no one tell me nothing? The last 3 months was a blessing to me, right? Because he's no longer here, but I was able to be in that moment of his laugh, his energy, right? It was more so like we vibed on that high, right? But he knew I needed that.
I love it.
That's
I love
powerful.
it. Yeah, it is,
Right?
man.
Like hindsight.
I would have
to, like,
broke
look at
myself.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew I would have broke myself. We were like this.
Yeah.
So he knew I needed that. You couldn't tell me nothing after that. That's when I started to realize, like, yo, energy is just flow. Let it go. Yeah, it sucks because they're not here, but they're with you
Yeah.
in the next realm, right? And when you finally get there, you'll know what it truly was for all of the worth.
Yo, that's
Right.
dope, man.
Yeah.
I'm loving every bit of that.
Yeah.
So many people go through similar situations, trauma, etc., and they really don't know how to handle that. Like,
Yeah.
you got any tips? Like, what could an individual do to
Feel it.
feel it?
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Feel it. Own it. Right? You can't, it's like you get a wound, right? You just cover it. Just keep it moving. You didn't put no alcohol there. You didn't, check in every week on it. You was just like, I'm covering it, patching it, not looking at it. It's going to heal on its own. Who told you that?
Yeah.
Who told you that? because that's not how it works, right? In order for you to understand trauma, you gotta feel it. You gotta go through the wave. You gotta go through the motion. Life's hard. We know that. They make it that way. It's supposed to be simple, right? But if we start to take in all of these external factors that doesn't make us whole, man, you're gonna be searching for something that you ain't never gonna find.
That's crazy.
And that's yourself. You ain't never gonna find it, right? So in order to get through trauma, you have to feel it. You have to go through it. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be crazy. There's gonna be times where you want to throw stuff, break stuff, argue with people, maybe, cuss a few things out. I have. But I say that to say this, that you have to feel it. I can't tell anyone what losing 2 brothers to the streets was like, and being there for one of them, gave him CPR, he died in my arms. I can't explain what that is, right? But I felt guilty for 15 years because I gave him CPR and I thought I killed him. Not understanding he was shot in his heart. There was nothing I can do, right? But how can I feel that and go through that, right? So for me, it was more so I didn't do anything wrong. I was trying to save this man, right? And I'll never forget my neighbor at the time, older woman. She said, I saw you that night trying to give life to your brother. I saw that. And I looked up and I said, wow. She goes, no, you are more powerful than you know. I never forgot why she said that until my aunt came from Cape Verde and said, you are God bodily. Cur, you don't even know.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I just took it and ran with it. And this is who I am, right? But you have to feel it. You have to feel it. You have to feel it. Whether it's writing down, talking to somebody, checking in with somebody, but you can't just put a patch on it and think it's going to heal itself without you doing the work. Impossible.
You got to put in the work.
Yeah. I mean, I cry every if I have my moments, right?
Yeah,
there's moments that we all do. Like, I'll look at a picture, I'm like, damn, bro.
That's it.
But the essence of it is I know what it is, right? It hurts, yeah, but man, do I tell you, my energy is different. I'm protected. Let me just tell you that.
I like
so
that.
If you try to do anything with malice intention, just know karma come for you. And what I say goes, so be careful.
Ain't ready for that.
Yeah.
It's a bad woman,
It's like trauma, like pain is like,
Listen,
it's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's to get us to an end.
You learn from it, bro.
And just like what you were saying about your power that people saw within you at the time, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
It's like you had to.
I was hurting.
Right.
Still.
You had to go through all that.
Yeah.
To then get to the point where you see it and you live in that power now, and now you're strong.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna be like, listen, I know my energy, I know my strength now.
Yeah.
You can't take it and you can't adjust it.
You can't.
Because I have the control.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need, to have that self-control.
Right. In order to go about your life, you can't think, let me be narcissistic and control this person. No. No one should be able to do that but looking into yourself. Like, you should be able to control yourself and only you. Whether that's overindulging, right? Sex, whatever the case may be, we have to understand that we need to check in with our own selves in order to not be toxic, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, there was ways that I can be toxic with that energy, but I had to learn how to kind of begin to be soft in that, right? And show people that you can come into me if I allow you to.
Listen, I don't know why my brain just went this way, but when you said like toxic and like being in control, the thing that like came to my mind was like dating apps.
Let's talk about it.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
They
Why?
are.
Yo, break
they
that
are
down,
so
bro.
dangerous.
We had this conversation with another
We
person
did.
of mine.
That's crazy.
So
I literally, it
go
just like
Yeah,
popped in
break
my
that
head.
down,
It's-
bro.
They're so dangerous because they're fueling that ego within you,
Say it again.
right? The dating apps are
all it
fueling the
is.
ego within you. So like, I'll never be able to like, take time and enjoy one person
You won't.
because I'm constantly,
Yeah.
I'm getting a like, I'm getting a swipe.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm now diverting some of that energy, and now it's a million different places.
Yeah.
And it's one that I could have had, or just not even being on the app. You come into contact with someone genuinely that's supposed to happen that
Yo,
way.
that's good,
Yeah.
bro.
Because all this stuff is forced. Right?
Yeah.
We're trying to take control of
Yeah.
things we're not supposed to take control of.
That's good.
Whatever happened to meeting people the old-fashioned way?
Yeah.
What's so hard about that though?
Yeah.
Because you gotta
think
be
about
real,
it.
though.
Think about it.
People don't want to be
Gotta be
real, bro.
real.
Nowadays, don't
You
want to
just
be
said
real.
it, right? You have 80% people who are on social media who don't love themselves.
Yeah. They
Let's say
up
that
a
word
facade.
again.
Yeah.
They don't love themselves.
Yeah.
It's a fact. If you did, you wouldn't be doing half the things you were doing and then putting it in the word of, I'm a woman, I can't do it. How you represent yourself, how you put yourself out there is how people perceive.
That's
real.
real.
A fact.
That's true.
It's a fact. And if you don't want people to perceive you that way, I'm telling you, people are shallow. They're going to perceive you that way, right? So what I'm saying is that society knows how to push people into a realm of lovelessness, how to push people in a realm of glamorizing the toxic behavior of human nature. That's everything that's forced that you just said. We're so, everything is like instant. Let me look at it. Like, if you do like order apps, you could go to Dunkin'. Everyone's been ordering their to-go stuff. It's already there. It's ready. It's going. Everyone's moving on this non-stop movement.
Speaks to the times we're in.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand why they're rushing it. There was a meme that I put up where a school in New York, I think it's Dalton County, who is teaching their first graders masturbation.
No way.
You gotta be kidding me, man.
This is a conversation that I have with some of my parents, that it's just what they're pushing. There's nothing wrong with sexual health. There's everything wrong with you pushing it to a first grader.
To a child.
To a child.
They're not even all supposed to really know their parts at that point.
Sit.
Bro, do they even know ABCs? Hey, do they even know ABCs?
This is what she
at
said.
that time?
Can they even read before they know what masturbation and erection is? I'm just saying. But we're just saying that this is what the society is pushing, though, right? So that constant gratification of instant, right? Or quick fixes. Why you think majority of the women have this Coke-shaped bottle that is forced, that is not theirs, right? Because that's just what the realm is. They think that's what it leads to. The fan page clubs, whatever. All of these things, these people have a distorted ideology of what that is.
Yeah.
And that's what we unfortunately see. So it's unfortunate to know that there are black brothers out there looking for their queens, and it's unfortunate to know that there are queens looking for their kings and cannot find it. It's unfortunate, right? And they want it that way. And that's what we have to understand. So we can still go back to the back in the day times. We just have to cultivate it again.
There you go.
There's ways around it. Bring R&B back. All of that.
Talk
like,
to 'em,
you know what I'm saying? You can't tell me nothing about this new music. I don't know what is going on. Right?
R&B
For real,
to
yo.
the
I just
death.
need the hot look, man.
Like,
Give me
I
an
was
Osley
on
Brothers tape.
YouTube.
Yo.
Michael
for
Bolton.
real.
Do y'all remember Michael Bolton?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I was on YouTube like, what the? Take me back now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's like, whatever happened to men showing me emotions?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Talk to him.
Nothing wrong with
not.
that. There's a reason why you're in yourself drinking 40s all the goddamn time, because you don't want to talk about
Drake
your freaking
told him.
emotions.
Drake was like, I pop bottles because I
Right?
bottle my emotions.
There you
See,
go.
come on, boom. You put it
Right?
out, yo.
Yeah. That's why they don't like
Like,
Drake,
you
though.
think you hot? You
Yeah,
think you
exactly.
hot because you bottling your emotions? I think you're a coward for bottling your emotions, because you can't even be man enough to own what it is that you're feeling.
That's it.
Okay, as a man, we're going back to integrity. Those values show me that you're a leader. You're not even leading your own life into the path of righteousness. Bye. Have a seat.
Yeah.
So when I say come correct to me, it's all because my energy is gonna sense you from a mile away. If you have a secret intention with me, it's going to tell itself eventually, right? Sometimes I'm not even in control of that, because it's on. I'm telling you, I'm protected to a level that I don't even understand. Well, understand, but to a level that sometimes I'm like, all right, y'all need to chill. let me just do it myself. Let me feel it myself.
man.
You know, let me just give the person the benefit of the doubt, right?
Nah, ain't no benefit.
And it's like,
Nah,
no,
they're like,
you
nah, we ain't
already
having
did.
that.
Attention.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just goes back to all that we're talking, that instant gratification. Like, gotta chill.
So what is you just went in on men. Right?
Sorry,
Not like that. Not like that.
Right, I
mean,
don't
no,
want to
yeah.
be that
No,
guy
no,
that's
you didn't come
talking.
off that way.
What's
No,
his
listen,
name?
no.
Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Who, Kevin Samuels?
There we go.
Someone told me, well,
he's
maybe you
funny,
should do
man.
a version
He
of a
is
woman.
funny.
And I'm like, well,
Oh, really?
I need to have like 3 other women, because
It's
Listen.
like,
Yeah.
so I was
Toxic
listening.
masculinity.
Yeah, I was listening to
But yeah.
Carlo. There's a comedian named Carlos Miller. I don't know. They have a comic show, the 85 South show.
Okay, I didn't talk about.
But he was like, somebody brought him up. It was like, oh, what do you think about him? He was like, he's a pimp. They were like, he's a modern day pimp. He's like, that's what he's doing. All he's doing is selling a product, and women are coming to him for the answers. He's like, that's a pimp.
It's the same thing as Derrick Jackson. I said the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's
Same thing.
Yeah.
Only difference is Derrick Jackson
I don't even know who that is.
is using God as his background.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I don't respect him.
Yeah. Makes
There's
it
no
even worse.
integrity there.
Yeah.
Don't come use God for anything that you're doing.
Who is this guy?
That is negative. We have to send you some.
Yeah, but we gotta send you some clips.
But it's just,
he's like
you know?
he was Kevin Samuel before Kevin Samuel. That's the guy's name.
And
yeah.
so he
Yeah.
was using like God,
And I have
like,
to go
as
back-
a pastor, as minister, or something.
I have to go back to
gotta
all,
send you
like I
some
had to
clips.
sit there and watch it. But the clips that people were sending me were like 2 minute clips. So it was whatever I was getting off of was only off of those videos. Excuse me. So I know other people feel indifferent about, well, he says some piece that are right. It could be true. It may be, right? But you have to understand the source. It's like an oppressor.
Source. Yeah,
It's an agenda
source.
behind it.
It's like an oppressor. You can't be my savior and my oppressor. I can't come to you
Okay.
for both. Like,
Because you're essentially
hello,
maintaining the
you're
oppression.
distorted.
That's it.
You already
Yeah,
have
yeah.
some misconceptions of what it is, right? So at some level, we have to understand that the world, those who are naive, who don't know, are looking for that. Are looking for that advice, right?
Facts.
Because they don't know any better,
That's facts.
right? And it's unfortunate that there's a collective that don't know
Man, don't
enough,
get me started.
It's the masses, really.
right?
Yeah, it is.
So of course you're gonna have people selling what they're selling. He can sell his shoe off his feet if he's telling you it smell good,
Yeah, you know
Somebody
the people
will
gonna buy it.
right? He's an image consultant. He can sell you the freaking turtleneck he's wearing that look tacky on him, but he's an image consultant.
Yeah.
Don't get me started,
Go on and get started, man. Go
okay?
on.
But I'm just saying this, like, it's just, come on. We have to understand sometimes that the one voice we should be listening to is here.
I'm with that.
But it's here. If I told you I listened to my mom and my father all day, every day, I would have definitely not been where I am today, right? I have so many different traits. He brought me to hair school. All of these things that I had that I didn't want to do, right? I have skills, though.
Yeah, you do.
I will cut your hair, line you up. I will put some weave up in there all day. That's why my hair is the way it is. It's always colorful because I can do that with myself now because I had that skill. If I was to ever lose a limb, I won't dance, but I can go back to show people how to feel music. There's a difference, right? So it's just, how do I cultivate all of my skills into one? It's not Jill of all trades. I'm a beast at all my trades, but I'm passionate about one, right? And that's helping people,
Nice.
whatever that looks like.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 And I think like the Kevin Samuels thing, what were we talking about before that was brought up?
Well, we went back about that instant gratification of why that on the apps.
Yeah, they have the dating apps.
Yeah, the dating apps.
So all in all, I think that
You're smiling, you give me grills. I love it. All
'cause the
energy.
Kevin, like that stuff, man. It's like it's just terrible.
It is
because
terrible.
we're not like, it's the issue of pointing a finger of who's wrong, right, and who's right. Especially as men, like, you know, men. Even I know a lot of brothers that listen to the show and like,
Trust me, I know a
yeah,
lot.
you know, that's right. And sometimes I do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because a lot of some of the stuff he says is true,
right.
but like it's the essence of it that's
Yeah,
wrong.
that's what I'm
That's
telling
it.
you. It's the
Yeah,
essence.
it's the essence
Always
of it that's
the
wrong
source.
because, you know,
Why
there's
you
no
attacking?
accountability for
Yeah.
me. You know, there's no accountability for me. It's just like, okay, yeah, these sisters got it wrong. Like, it's now put for me that, okay, I can be this guy that now is superficial,
Yep.
and it's about this. Oh, you got kids, you're devalued.
Right,
right,
You're
right,
at what
right.
age group?
Yeah.
You're devalued.
Yeah.
Right? Now I'm
You're
supposed to
looking
be
for
this
this
high value
bracket.
man.
You should be this
Right.
high bracket.
See,
Now I'm on the other end of it though,
So
because he's
here's-
creating like this dichotomy. Right?
So
Yes, he is.
here's what I say, and this is how I usually shut a lot of people up. Strip away the cars, strip away the money, strip away all of that
From both man and woman.
from both.
Yeah,
What are you offering me?
yeah, that's it.
hands down.
That's
What
it.
are you offering me? Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Because you're so consumed with materialistic values and inconsistency on compassion and empatheticness, right? Because integrity should have told your ass long time ago.
Yeah.
What you're doing is wrong. But no, you want to cultivate on that ego, that pride, because everybody else don't know what they're talking about.
I love it, man.
Right? So for me, it says you know exactly what you're doing because you know how to misconstrued this whole agenda of what you're doing. Instead of bashing, right? Because there's points where he bashes.
Oh, yeah.
You need to look internally and say, how did our community become this way? That's what I want people to think.
That's what it's about.
People
Just
don't
critically
want the
think,
answers,
but
man.
y'all don't want to
Nah.
think.
People don't
No,
want the
I'm
answers.
serious. Think about how. If you want to say, well, all gay people are the same. Well, how did the whole black community get like this? How? How did we all say, like, oh, I'm about to have 4 or 5 side chicks? How did we cultivate that energy? Where is it coming from? Our music changed, so did our energy.
All design, huh?
Our food changed, so did our energy.
Yep.
Right? So we have to understand that everything is pushed because they want it to be pushed. But if we hang on to it, we're going to be rolling the same way they want us to be rolling.
That's real.
Right? So when we listen to, so social media was only created for us to start listening to these people that don't have no degrees in nothing. And not to say that you should have a degree in anything, but how you're sounding tells me that you don't know trauma informedness. You don't know nothing around why it's dangerous to talk the way you're talking. Right? Just like music, it's dangerous for your young children to listen to certain things that starts to program their mind. Yeah, maybe I should be this.
Yeah.
Right? So at some level, we have to be the censorship. Whether that's you're seeing something go down, intervene. And I know that might be hard to say because we're living in a world where you don't want to even intervene on anything. Right?
It's needed, though.
It's needed sometimes. And your energy will tell you to check in or not. And always feel if it's the right thing to do. But that inner voice is what you should be listening to. I ain't never
Hold on,
scared,
what's
though.
going on over here?
I ain't never scared.
Oh, bro. You go with the face and everything, bro, with the mean mug.
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm crazy.
Do your thing, bro.
He gave me that vibe. Well, he was trying to come at me during the gym, so I knew he was crazy. You know.
Oh, man.
They don't
My
really
boy
speak.
good.
They don't really speak to me, so I
they
don't
don't?
know. Yeah, no. But I'm cool. I tell people it's because I'm cool and I don't take shit from nobody. So
That's real.
I sense your energies because I know you're not even real with yourself. So
I can tell when people like, I love that stuff because it's just fun. It's funny, like that interaction is funny because you can say something slick. Now they got something slick back. It's funny now. Like, oh, okay, she's cool.
Yeah.
and that's how it vibed with us.
Yeah.
Because he said, I was like, you don't know me, bro.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, she's cool. Because you say to
you
some
don't know
people, they
me.
get all uptight.
You talking about just playful trash talking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Y'all big on that in Boston, bro. I had to get hip to that.
Oh, yeah?
You know, that is true. We
Y'all big in
definitely
that in
do that.
Boston.
But I also think if, we just feel like that energy's there,
Yeah.
we're gonna go for it,
Yeah,
right?
I can respect
He
it.
gave it to me, and I was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna give it back to you. So,
Yeah.
and then he was like, alright. I was like,
I
alright.
can respect
Cool.
it. I had to get hip to that because I'm coming from Texas. I'm like, wait, did they just diss me? I had to- yeah. So
I mean,
had to get-
sometimes we think about it too, like,
Yeah.
because
Oh, nah, they-
the lingo's different at different
Yeah.
places.
True.
So.
It's true.
yeah, I
And
had to
so-
get hip to
And
it.
sometimes I always had to think of myself like I have to chill because I can be, too nice, and some people can take that for like flirtatious.
Facts.
At one point, there was a white guy who was a member of mine, and I was nice, general, like to my members, and he took it for something different, and decided to take it there. Long story short, I was like, "You're no longer coming here. We're gonna ban you." He was aggressive.
No way.
Yeah. And said, well, the way you are, I'm assuming that's what you like. And I'm like, I don't know what black woman decided to
Yeah.
give you a chance. This is not the black woman for you.
And it's
So I
best
had to close it down. And to each everyone's own. But I'm a sister. I like my black
And
men.
in this bad society is like that. Like you being friendly is considered flirting. 'Cause we
Yeah.
spoke about that before too.
And
like,
that's what I'm saying,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm like, yo, I'm just holding the door for someone, or just simply saying good morning with a smile.
Yeah.
And that's considered. I don't want you. I don't want your phone number. I'm like, no, I'm not coming at you like that, sister. I'm not flirting. You know, they think I want the phone number. All of this, like, nah, that's not the case. Like,
But they
we're
don't
just
get
being
it.
friendly, though.
It's like
They
two
don't
things.
get it.
Like at work, you know, because to me, it's like I think I went through a similar transition like you did when you had your professor wake you up.
Yeah.
I was in a relationship.
Mm.
And
That happens too.
Yeah, and she was super pro, and I always wanted to learn more. And it just happened that I was in a relationship that was like, it was like all the books are here.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you sitting down and reading? All right, what are you reading?
Yeah.
And I'm like, just going through the books,
Yeah.
I'm researching, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I was, you know,
Mind blown.
awakened, right? And so now I start going to like work and stuff. I'm like, yo, community, because this is what I'm reading.
Right.
This is what we need. And so I'm like, yo, talking to the brothers and sisters at work, how you doing? They not even acknowledging me. And then I talk to people, they're like, oh.
Then your destination will be on the right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know, it's just because, you know, like you're attractive and women get nervous. I'm like, that has nothing to do with me just saying, hi, how you doing? Good morning.
Shouldn't we?
You know, holding the door like you're saying.
Yeah, shouldn't we?
Like, and I talked to like my ex-girlfriend and with the whole
Right.
Black Lives Matter and the protests and stuff.
We could talk about that.
Yo,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay,
Another podcast.
we all,
Podcast.
I'm walking my dog at one time, you know, coming from a protest. People are leaving the protest at Franklin Park and walking the dog at night. I see young ladies walking it in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
How you doing? Because to me, it's, I want to make sure you know you're safe. Like,
Right.
how you doing? You okay? You know? You know, they keep going. White people walking from the march. How you doing? Not saying nothing. I'm like, but you pro-black though. What happened with Black Lives
See,
Matter
come
just
on,
a
bro.
few minutes ago?
That's real.
And a black man is acknowledging you. But if I was to be shot, you're gonna become a,
Exactly.
oh yeah, another
Ain't
black
that
man,
something,
you
bro?
crying.
Ain't that
Because
something?
they think it's okay that we can treat each other that way. It's not okay.
Yeah.
It's still, you're still contradicting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, that's why I said, you cannot be pro-black while you're engaging in the hypocrisy. There's no way around that.
Put a period on that right there.
Period.
Yeah.
There's no way, right? It's just like working for survivors. I can't see it ending without working with the perpetrators. I can't work with just one side. There's no ending domestic violence if I'm working with just one side.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying?
That's good.
I'm done with the surface level crap. Like, let's fall deep to where the issue is, and that's working with both entities that are cultivating this energy to stay alive for 45 years and running, right? But integrity.
Integrity. I love it, Joe.
So what is manhood? You mentioned aspects of it.
Manhood to me is cultivating integrity, which makes you an all-around leader, right? According to your values and your standards, right? And treating all those with respect. And I think that word integrity is a big piece. That's why I said that the first time we saw it. I'm like, integrity for me is the biggest. And like I said, I was raised with both parents in the household, but the dynamics of my brothers being abused or disciplined by my father, and my mom disciplining or abusing just the girls. So that was the dynamic. But I also seen my father as this hardworking man. So he emblemed a lot of integrity. But some of his values was distorted, right? Because he's still here in America, right? So it was a lot of that I've noticed, and with my own brothers, some of them having that roundness of getting to integrity. That's why I said they're good.
Yeah.
They're not at the greatness yet of cultivating integrity. So for me, it was the beauty of watching my brothers and my father to understanding what integrity meant for me.
Nice. Well, here we have this, we do these piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Who Am I? You want to know who are you?
Wow. Who am I? Well, Christina is a power source. And I say power source because sometimes my energy, I have to like tell it to chill. Like, all right, I can keep going.
Yeah.
And I'm saying going, whether that's working out, whether that's dancing, whatever it is, my energy just has a spirit of just hitting the floor and not stopping. And I always have to tell people, like, use me, please, because I'm being used every day. I tell him every day, use me. So please use me for whatever it is that you feel you can cultivate from me. So when I say I'm a power source, is that, I've heard a lot of things like, you're a unicorn, like you're so different and rare. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I am. But I'm a walking beam. It's something different. To know you have a light that is never ending. And I used to always hear that a lot. Like, you just have an aura. I don't know where it's coming from. And I'm like, I'm protected. Like, and I used to say that, but not understand that I was protected in so many ways, more than one. But I am a power source. I am a daughter, right? But I say that loosely, right? Because I didn't feel like one, right? So for me, it was more so I was a protector for my younger siblings. So I was that for them, that warrior, right? And for me, that feminine goddess that I always knew I was, right? So I emblemed all of that characteristic, but was fortunate enough to own a little bit of my masculinity side, right? So for me, it's just a melting pot of all the experience that I've gone through, the foundation that was put there for me, and, my self-righteousness, right? Being tapped into my spirit to be like, yeah, this is who you are, son. And if they can't handle you, there's the door. So I've left a lot of people behind because they just quite didn't understand. And that was okay. And that was okay for me to understand that it was okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I love it, man.
That's who I am.
Thank you.
Dope, yo, dope.
Did you find that hard? Did you find it hard letting people go, or were you so good with yourself at that time that
My brothers taught me to let go, right? Because after my brothers, I said, if I lost my brothers, I can lose anyone, right? We were raised very tight, very close. When my parents worked all the time, we were the ones raising each other. We were cooking for each other, right? We were pretty much at home without parents when they were working so much. So we were each other's like parent, each other's riders. So when we lost both brothers, it was hard for all of us. Some of us, are still dealing with their trauma, I, fortunate enough, came out of it to try to heal everyone, but they're just not quite there, right? So everyone has to go on their own, right? And heal their own for them to see why I'm the way I am, right? And not look at me as a person who thinks they're all that. And I don't think that's what I'm trying to give them. I'm just trying to get them to see that I came out of that, and you can as well just feel your emotions, right?
Yeah.
it's like the Malcolm X quote, I'll remember it till I die.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my man right there.
Yeah. It's what is it?
There's so many quotes.
I know, but it's the one that it's about. Don't look down on someone for what they don't know, because at some point you didn't know.
Didn't know now.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like their emotion or whatever levels they are. It's like, listen, that's where grace comes in, right?
There we go.
If I was given grace, I'm now responsible to give
it
grace
back
as well.
Yeah.
So
that's why I said this is not me. Yeah. Like, this is all like given to me. So it's my duty to give it back, and I'm rewarded through whatever that looks like, and I'm truly blessed. That's a fact. So I'm fortunate enough to come through people that are inspiring, that are influential, who are still able to show me that there's more hope than just me, right? Because it's different when you're like, I can't be the only one thinking like this. This is crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I've been called so many times a conspiracy theorist that I'm just like, yo, I'm a researcher. Can you stop?
I like that though, man. Research.
Like, and I say I'm a researcher because I'm a researcher. Yeah. If I cultivated research ethics with A+, I'm a researcher. Can't nobody tell me that. So for me, it's like I know how to research.
Yeah.
And if something is, a little bit weary for me, I'm going to critique it. So you should never pick up a book and not critique it, whether it's the most best-selling book or not.
You know what's amazing?
This book has so many critiques I could tell you right now, right? Just because understanding the purpose and power of a man, no one knows that.
Yo,
No one knows that. No one.
that's dope.
No one knows that, right? We are only here to try to cultivate what it is that we think
Yeah,
we are here to do.
that's
No one
real.
has a master plan. No one has that. If they did, we would not be in this. We wouldn't, right? Because everybody would have that ability to see their master plan.
It makes
right?
sense. Okay.
But if it was like that, things would be different. But it's not like that. It's things are meant for us to feel, for
I
us to
like
go
that.
through the wave, right?
Now
It's
what?
like water. Bruce Lee would tell you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like water,
Yeah.
right? You just flow, just chill. You ain't gotta be all extra. Just flow, and you'll see what it has to offer you.
All right. You sparked something, some curiosity. Now, what if it was a blueprint, a manual? 1, 2, 3.
I still won't follow it.
But what if it was though? Not just you, just
Yeah.
in general. What if it was one? All right, these are the steps to reach your greatness.
And even if there was, there's
Yeah.
still going to be some roadblocks to getting there. So in actuality, those steps are just the baseline, but internally your steps may have 4 or 5 more onto those 3.
That's
It's
dope.
like a,
Yo.
it's like it's
Right.
a general
It's
framework.
a general framework,
Yeah.
right? So we can't really look at the framework and own it.
Yeah,
We
it's
have to
not
look at
one.
the framework and
Yeah.
say, this makes sense, this makes sense. How do I?
Yeah.
And then you'll see 4 or 5 different frameworks that
Exactly.
your internal said this is what it needs
That's
to be.
it.
So sometimes things like this sparks you to find your internal. We all need a little bit of extra push sometimes. So I'm not saying you shouldn't pick up. I'm just saying critique it.
Yeah.
It's like our
It's a
it's like
difference.
our
Just critique it.
our skeletons are all the same,
Yeah.
right? But our bodies are different.
Yeah.
And so the skeleton is the life's framework to
Right.
get from birth to
To
death,
the end, right?
dope.
But then your life,
No one's telling you in that moment the internal factors, what
I love
those bridges look like.
Yeah. So it's not just one set way,
Yeah,
one path to go.
exactly.
I love it.
It's,
yo.
they say like in your lifetime you love 3 times.
yeah.
It's true, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you what those 3 times look like, what
Yeah.
those periods look like.
That's hot.
It might be 15, it might be 25, it might be 60. We don't know because you have yet to learn your lesson, whatever it is. When I say when you deal with the same lesson, it's because the assignment has yet to be passed.
Yeah.
Sis, you have the same men in your life because that first lesson you have yet to learn from. Go back to that assignment. That syllabus will tell you exactly what to do. Check on it. Same thing with the men. You're dealing with all these type of women
Yeah.
because you are not cultivating your internal energy, right? So that's
We
what
talk
it
about
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Bro. You own it.
That's just what it
You're on the
is,
money.
right? So we have to understand sometimes we sabotage ourselves in so many ways. Self-sabotage is the biggest thing because you think you can't do it. So you're sabotaging yourself.
Oh, another
It's all about believing.
another podcast right there.
Yeah,
That's
we
it
can
right
go
there.
on forever.
I like that. That's a title right there. Self-sabotage.
Yeah, that's right
Yeah,
there.
that's
I
it.
said I'm a power source. Use me.
Man, we gonna use you. All right. Yo, that was
Yeah,
dope.
100%.
Man. That was dope, man. Yo,
Thank you for coming through.
Of course,
good?
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was straight. I was about to say, how can the people reach you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Instagram Inspire1 ONE Fitness, and Facebook. Don't blame me. I'm hardly on there. But it's Tina Fernandez, and you'll know why it's Tina Fernandez when you get to know me.
Dope,
My name is
man.
Christina Dosouto.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my
loving it.
mom's maiden name, Fernandez.
I love it, Joe. This was hot. This was
was.
dope,
I had a great time.
Yeah.
man. We did
Yeah.
too, man.
Yeah,
This, yo,
we all full of smiles right now.
yo,
People
you ain't like
can't-
this the energy, yo. You can't
Yeah,
fake that,
it's
man.
yeah. Use me. That's all I say.
So we're gonna use you right now.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want to, can you give some, what we like to do is try to end the show with like a point of inspiration or what
Yeah,
are
just some words of encouragement.
words
but
of
that's-
encouragement? Yeah.
That's her all day.
Yeah. So words of encouragement for people, young men, women, just in general, to whatever.
My spirits are telling me to say this, so I'm gonna say it. Just be true to yourself, and sometimes we forget what that is. And sometimes you really need to sit back and look within yourself. And remember that one point in your mind where there was a good moment, right? What happened in that time for you to cultivate that good moment, to be someone that you didn't think you are today? So sometimes be still, right? Listen to your internal thoughts. A lot of people don't do that, right? They like to be in a mindless situation. Yeah. It's just like mindless eating, right? You're just watching TV and you're just eating. And by the time you realize you're done with the whole serving, and it's like, how did that happen? You're mindlessly, right? You're mindlessly eating. So for me, it's just being still and try to go within yourself to figure out just how you need to heal with whatever you're going through, or figure out the next steps. Because sometimes up here is so loud that we forget that we need to take a second, right? The world is so loud that we forget that we need to separate ourselves for a time being before we can go out. So when I say I like to be by myself sometimes, it's because I regenerate. I give so much out throughout the day that when I go home, I'm just regenerating. I just want to take my bath and just relax, put on a show, and fall asleep. So the times that I have with myself is gym. That's me just regenerating myself. But once you know your energy, that's why I say go be still. You would know exactly how to move after that, right? And you'll be able to understand who you are a little deeper.
Yeah,
man.
That's
it. I love it. That's it right there, man. Well, you guys, another successful episode in the books. Yo, I'm Chris.
I'm Ben.
Yo, man.
And I'm Christina.
I
just thought I put that in there.
I'm loving it, man.
Let's do it.
I'm Christina.
That's tight, yo.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Yo.
Thank you for listening to the Follow Then Lead podcast. You can reach us on social media at...
The email is followthenleadinc@gmail.com. Instagram, Follow Then Lead Podcast. And our Twitter is Follow Then Lead P. Until next time.
Take it easy.
Word.